All right, thanks for joining us for People in Politics. We're talking about a wide range of issues in the dailies and all the political field and the issues going on. For now, here's one other story that we're about to talk about. Is President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto aware of a trip by Jubilee Party officials to China? Leader of Majority in the National Assembly, Adan Duale, appears to suggest that the top brass did not sanction that trip aimed at ensuring party officials learn party management. A senior member of the Jubilee Steering Committee, however, has confirmed to NTV that he's leading other officials to Beijing. Enoch Sikole has more. All right, we're bringing that story to you in just a bit. But Professor Manyora, let me start with you. Again, with the trips of benchmarking, even though the top brass is not aware of this. But the simple fact that he's confirmed that they're heading to China, what do you read into that?
Well, first of all, it was denied. And when reluctantly somebody said it could happen, I think that was Duale said, well, it is possible that before we became Jubilee, URP as a party and TNA and perhaps one or two other parties could have made these prior arrangements. I mean, arrangements before we became JP. And to that extent, therefore, they will be quite justified. But still, that begs the question, sure, something of that nature cannot happen without the top hierarchy of the party knowing. But to me, the more fundamental thing will not be whether or not Uhuru and Ruto know about this trip. This dalliance with the Communist Party, is it not just part of the business we are seeing China making money in this country in a foolish way? Because what is there to be learned from the Communist Party? The totalitarianism of the Communist Party is not something we are about to learn and to bring. Even themselves, they have had to change. Yeah. To do the capitalist ventures they are doing in the world today, Trevor, the Communist Party is changing its orientation and philosophy and thinking. So, what are you going to learn? They are new thinking, or you are learning what they have been over the years. The Communist Party and any other totalitarian regime in the 21st century does not stand quite, it doesn't have a seat.
Okay.
We know these kind of arrangements help to transform countries. Before the launch of the Communist Party, China was fighting with all the snow in the harsh winter of Russia. Their soldiers were barefoot. Just a couple of years, less than 10 years. Russia was a superpower. Yeah. We know totalitarianism has transformed societies. Libya, Cuba, quite a number of them. But that was then. You cannot use that kind of thinking today. Okay. So I don't know what Jubilee will be going to learn from. If they want some little money from the Communist Party, then let them just get the money from the Communist Party. After all, we are giving them a lot of business. Yeah. But to tell me there's much you are going to learn, what is it you are going to learn about them? They are in the process of learning themselves.
First, let me bring up that story first, yeah. Then now we can talk about it more. Listening.
Ahead of the 2017 general election, the new Jubilee outfit wants to revise its political blueprint and strategy and focus on staying in power for many years to come. The first stop for this strategy, China. Jubilee Party has dispatched close to 100 officials to Beijing to learn political party management from the country's ruling party, the Communist Party of China, CPC.
Remember,
NTV spoke to nominated MP Hassan Osman, who is leading the team that leaves Nairobi for Beijing Monday night.
Our ambition is also, if it is going to be possible, we will also like that we are going to rule for a long, long time. That is the purpose of us bringing these other parties together.
The Communist Party of China established the People's Republic of China and has ruled the country for 67 years since 1921. The officials are scheduled to undergo a month's training on general organization of the party, mobilization of resources, and capacity building.
You find the party is also the government in China. There's a disconnect, let's say in our case. But when it comes now to implementation of the manifesto of the party, whereby, let's say, for example, the president has been telling Wananchi that you elect me I'll do this. This is in my manifesto. But who are the implementers of the manifesto? Definitely it will be the technical people. You find that the technical people are not members of the party. That is according to our law. But at the end of the day, you find that there's a disconnect.
But CPC has its negativities that may not resonate well with the democratic space Kenya enjoys. The party has remained resilient, using repression as a means of suppressing political and civil dissent and shrinking freedoms and rights in the name of stability. Jubilee says it will only focus on what is good and relevant to Kenya.
People in China are becoming members of that party, the CPC, while they're still in school, from primary up to secondary. By the time you find that somebody has reached the highest hierarchy, let's say of the Secretary General of CPC, that person has passed through a lot of processes coming from down the grassroots.
But before touchdown in China, there is confusion surrounding the trip. National Assembly Majority Leader Eden Duale, who is a key member of the newly created party, maintained that there was no such a trip.
I can tell you without any fear of contradiction, the Jubilee Party, new team, will be interim team, will be unveiled in 2 weeks' time, and after that is when we will say how we can talk of who is going and who is not going.
Duale even seems to suggest that the president did not sanction the Beijing trip.
If the previous leadership of URP, TNA, New Ford Kenya had a pre-planned arrangement with the Communist Party, there is nothing wrong if our former officials go there now on behalf of the Jubilee Party.
Enoch Sikolia, NTV.
All right. Yeah, you're finishing your point.
Yeah,
now you see where
it's good. This man called the leader, the head of delegation, is called Hassan Osman.
Hassan Osman.
Look at the things he's saying, surely, in the 21st century. This country we need prayers. They say, so that Jubilee should rule for a long, long, long time, as the Communist Party has done. The Communist Party from 1949, not 61, but it's something, 21, 1949. Yes, it's a long time. But what is the history? What is it associated with? Do we want to transfer that to Kenya? And look here, I've said on this show, and I want Wamatangi and Linturi to carry this message, that do not plant in the minds of Kenyans this idea of Jubilee ruling for a long, long time. Look here, it's a dangerous narrative. The moment you create this idea that others are excluded forever, you could plunge this country into chaos. That Uhuru, Ruto, who knows after. That message is a dangerous message. Please avoid it. Then this man says, let me just, then he says that, like the distinction between party and government, as we have, it's not something we want to do in this country. We want to be like in China, where the party and the government are. What, do you remember the days of Kanu, Baba and Mama? Is that where you really want to take Kenyans? Honestly. Right. And when you create a powerful party, it is always then associated with somebody like Mao Zedong. When you have that kind of arrangement, a powerful thing, it becomes like a cult, and you are you run the danger of creating the Hitlers of this world. That's how they come.
I see Wamatangi laughing this off, but let me hear it from Linturi.
Wamatangi, please.
Linturi, is that the position?
Professor, I think with your respect, I also don't know from what side of Yambonde you woke up this morning, because I would not really have expected that to come from you.
From the right side.
As politicians and as a democracy, Kenya is an evolving democracy. You cannot tell me to be pessimistic. I have no room of pessimism in me. I'm permanently looking forward and very active trying to plan the future. And Jubilee as a party is right, and we will not make any apologies to anybody for wanting to rule for a long, long, long time.
Long, and another long.
Yes, long time, even forever. That is good in the mindset. It's good for us to organize ourselves in a system that will ensure Jubilee is in power for a very long time. But You know, we must ask ourselves, when we are saying this, are we properly aligned in our thinking to constitutionalism, to what the law provides in terms of how people are supposed to exercise their democracy in the election of leaders? I am saying yes, because we are saying, even as we plan through for a long time, we are subject to the law. We are subject to the constitution. We want any moment that we have to do the best for the people of this country, so that whenever an election is called within 5 years, then Kenyans have no other option. They do not find anybody else who can do better than Jubilee. The way anybody else does not see any other better mobile provider other than Safaricom. This is what we are saying, Professor.
But what does Jubilee have to learn from the Communist Party in
right?
China?
I'm trying to explain why it is necessary to think that way, and why we should not really apologize for that. But two, I have Andy Dwale saying that probably there could have been some plans.
Arrangement, yes.
Yes, I want to confess that one time I went to China in the year 2000, I think, 13, and we had a meeting with the Communist Party. That time, you know, we had TNA. And at that particular time, and because we wanted to understand political systems and how the party had done to remain in power and for that long time, we discussed and agreed that time we would start an exchange program between parties. So probably this is as a result of discussions that have been going on for a long time between either TNA or any other party, and this has come now to mature after the birth of Jubilee. I lost touch, I have no idea, but I think if, for example, this is the time people are being invited to go and exchange or discuss some things, I think it's fair.
It's fairly in order, okay.
It's completely fair.
All right.
And I would say there's the Communist Party. Even I'm sure there's nothing. There's something that we can be able to learn from them. Even this idea of being in power for quite some time is worth learning. Number two, let me tell you, you know, sometimes people accuse me, and I have always wanted to explain something. You know, Kenya as an evolving democracy. You know, when you compare Kenya and China, you know, we are permanently there, going there with imbos and begging. And you know, it's not honorable to be a beggar and go borrowing every time and pleading for support throughout. Let me tell you, Jakoyo will not agree with me or anybody else, but I have said, you know, even with a very progressive constitution, we never designed a system of wealth creation for this country. We came up with the issue of devolution, which is good, but how to create wealth so that you can devolve that wealth, those resources down there, is a link that we never created. It's a system that is an area that requires to be answered. So, this country, I think if the Communist Party is one that has made or stabilized the country to the extent China is an economic superpower, probably it would be fair enough to see, to hear with them how that linkage between government and the party has been able to stabilize China economically. They may not have very good political ideas because we are multi-party, we have other things that we may not agree. But even that thing, personally, I would want to understand, because I pray at one time that Kenya will stabilize economically.
So you say there's something to learn from the
we can't
Party.
miss something to learn.
Before bringing on Honorable Midiwo on this, let's take a caller. Good morning, Margaret.
Habari ya asubuhi.
Salama sana.
Salamia waheshimiwa.
Wamesalimika. Endelea na swali.
Mimi nauliza Jakoyo Midiwo.
Yes.
Nimesikia ukisema ya kwamba Raila ni mprofeti sana, akiprofeti neno mpaka lazima likuwe liwepo. Wakati ya kazi kwa vijana Raila aliprofeti hiyo. Wakati ya mambo ya Kidero Raila aliprofeti hiyo. Kwa nini ya Kidero mnafunikia sana na tunaona makosa, lakini ya Waiguru inatamba kama waya, inatamba kama moto ndani ya nyasi?
All right.
Mimi nataka kusema hivi, kusema ukweli. Wakati serikali inafanya maneno, yale mazuri semeni haya ni mazuri, yale mabaya kosoeni haya ni mabaya.
Okay.
Sasa maneno ya maji, na tuliona Raila akizundua hilo mradi wakati huo. Hakujua ya kwamba hiyo mradi itaadhiri wananchi wa Kenya.
Okay.
Ama hii ni njama ya kupiga waziri Eugene Wamalwa vita. Sisi tunaona kazi ile serikali ya Jubilee inafanya.
Okay.
Nyinyi watu ya kodi, wakati mnataka kitu, ambieni wa Kenya tutawafanyia hiki na hiki na hiki. Sio wakati yote kukosoa uhuru.
Okay.
Ni kama kushindwa kazi ile wananchi waliwachagua kufanya.
All right. Thank you,
Asante
Margaret.
sana.
Asante sana. Honorable Midiwo, that was a direct question to you. I'll let you respond before we continue.
Nani huyo mama?
Margaret.
Margaret, unajua ananifurahishanga akipiga simu hapa. Kuna siku Mheshimiwa Halwale alimshambulia sana Wamatangi. Margaret akaweka kwa simu, akaongea matope. Lakini lazima ajue kabla Eugene mradi huo ulikuwa umeanzishwa. Eugene si amekuwa waziri juzi tu.
Okay.
So it has nothing to do with Eugene.
Okay.
Na wanaleta mambo ya Kidero, Waiguru. Unajua mwizi ni mwizi. Awe ni Kidero, awe ni Waiguru.
Okay.
Na kwa hivyo sisi kazi yetu tukiwa upinzani ni kuangalia mambo mahali serikali inaendelea mbaya. We are not in the business of praising government. Why would opposition be praising the people they want to get out of power? Especially a government which is stealing like the one for Margaret. She must be happy about how the kazi kwa vijana went. She must be happy about NYS. She must be happy about Eurobond. She must be very happy. Akiona kwa gazeti, the government has doubled the cost of a 3.5 kilometer road. Has more than doubled in Kibra, where our poor live.
Okay.
Na wenye wanaishi pale Kibera, sio watu wanatoka kwa sehemu ya kina Wamatangi, ni watu wa hawa wanatoka sehemu ya Sabatia na Game. So lazima ajue.
Okay.
Kama atazidi kupiga simu, ajue tutajibu yeye.
Let's take on another call. Otoa Sifuna is on the line here.
Okay.
Let's take on Otoa. Good morning, Otoa.
Hello, good morning, Trevor Ombija.
Very well, sir. Go ahead with the comment or question.
Yeah, I'm very glad to enjoy the political analysis of the panelists.
Yes.
Jakoyo, Midiwo, Mithika, Linturi, and
Yes.
Kimani, Wamatangi.
Yes.
Trevor, I want to talk about mature politics. Our country, I think, has come a long way.
Okay.
I'm a sad Kenyan, especially when I hear that this country can be polarized to think of a myopic political angle of Jubilee and CORD.
Okay.
I look yonder to the time, Trevor Ombija, where we shall have politics based on ideology.
Okay.
It is not every time that when Raila Odinga comes up with something, and in this case, you know, Raila Odinga is claiming that this project will have an environmental effect, and it is hazardous to the people, including the people where the project is based itself.
Okay.
If we are really Kenyans, Trevor, what's our fault? We must always investigate. It's not that all the time opposition members of come out and say there is an issue here. We start saying now this is politics. Trevor, I want to quickly comment about the visit to China by Jubilee Party.
Yeah,
I have no problem with Jubilee Party myself. And if Jubilee Party can come up with good manifesto and tell me, Otoa Sifuna, Jubilee Party is going to do this, especially in the area of education, where I hold a lot of interest, including Professor Manyora here, whom we have suffered being paid peanuts every day.
Okay.
Teachers of this country have suffered, Trevor.
Okay.
If we can ask ourselves how much has been used to go to China, you have just realized that that party is actually a demagogic party. It suppresses people all the way from nursery school. They cannot have a choice rather than to belong to that party. Is that the kind of politics we want, Trevor? What I'm saying is this, as I conclude, Trevor, let us have a mature politics. I will not be surprised if an Otieno based in Rarieda votes for Jubilee based on ideology. The same to Awanjiku based in Muranga, voting for code based on ideology.
All
we
right.
must mature up our politics.
All right, thanks,
Jakoyo,
Otto.
Midiwo, you must take note of this.
Thanks, Otto. Very fiery, Otto.
Let me comment about this China thing. But Ottawa there is saying something which I have said here. You know, we only have 8 months to an election generally and practically, really. In the 8 months, won't it be kind to Kenyans that we politicians, whether you are in Jubilee or CORD or any other political party, to tell Kenyans that I want to be president and this is what I want to do with the presidency? Because this is the missing debate. When you see the presidential candidates, when they talk, say it's my turn, I have suffered a lot. You know, I have never imagined a presidential candidate who wants to be president for him. I have suffered a lot. See, Kenyans have suffered a lot. If I lower the interest rates, I will bring water to your doorsteps. The roads, there will be no mud. Even if they are not tarmacked, they will be properly marramed. I will lower the cost of road construction. I will bring dialysis machines.
But that
I will
statement
stop
came from
Kenyans.
CORD. You remember that was Kalonzo Musyoka who mentioned that.
Well, I am using that as an example because I don't think Jubilee is any different. Because even Jubilee is based on Kikuyu Kalenjin. That is the basis of it. It's really, Ottawa is saying it the way it should, we should. And I think many of these debates are required. Having said that, Trevor, I think it is very proper for Jubilee to go to China.
Correct.
I really think it is very proper. I think the mediocrity and the myopic nature by which we rush to condemn even good things. You know, that Communist Party in China is a very organized political party. I was here when I said you cannot control how people move from one political party to the next before you democratize the individual political parties. You cannot talk about democracy in the electoral system without talking about democracy in political parties.
Okay.
And those must be issues that we must force. The way our parties are crafted. When Wamatangi here talks, you know what he's saying? He's talking as if Jubilee is an angel because Uhuru has not said how it works, or because William Ruto has not said how it should be in the alternative.
Okay.
But we should bring ourselves as a country to criticize each other and make it fair that when leadership does something wrong, we are able not to follow as like animals.
Okay.
We as leaders, we can say that, my leader, you are doing a good thing. You are saying something which can plunge this country into chaos. And that brings me back to the project which you see your callers are interested in. Yeah. That project, what we are saying, just do proper environmental assessment so that 20 years down the line, the people of Muranga do not think that a government that they supported to the last man hurt them so much environmentally. Okay. That the people of Ukambani and Garissa do not, when the rivers dry up, do not cry foul because the government did not follow procedure. This is all we are saying, and that's all Raila is saying. Okay. Please let us just let us debate issues. We are paid to debate the pros and cons of issues that affect Kenyans. Article 95 of our constitution.
All right, before I bring in Wamatangi on this, let me take a call. Mbote, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, Mbote, go ahead with the comment or question.
Yes, my name is Mbote.
Yes.
I wanted to contribute about the tunnel which is being popularized there.
Go ahead.
Now, I live in Makomboke myself.
Okay.
Okay, now, there is a tunnel which comes from Makomboke, Bakaine Dam,
okay,
to Nieto.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody has ever complained about that tunnel.
Okay.
Now, my question is, what's the problem all the way from where these tunnels are being made are bringing the water to Ndakaine Dam.
Okay.
Now, when that gentleman who is there, Honorable Mithika, says about water in Mukambani will finish. I was in Malindi the other day.
Okay.
I found water flowing all to the Indian Ocean, and nobody is talking about it. The water is going to the Indian Ocean.
Okay.
Now, what Raila is talking, I don't understand.
Okay.
Then you guys, you must sit down and know we are Kenyans and we don't cheated just because somebody wants some votes.
Okay.
Please, gentlemen, talk sensibly for Kenyans, not to cheat Kenyans because you want votes. Thank you very much.
All right, Mbote. And everyone is still remaining on this particular subject that you do not want to talk about because you claim you're not experts, but we still have to come back to it. And Wamatangi, I want you to
But I think it's important to correct him that I never spoke about water drying because of the tunnel.
He meant on Midiwo.
Oh, yeah, if it's Midiwo, yes, because I never spoke about that.
Two issues. First, let me say to our previous caller, Otoyo Sifuna.
Yeah.
I think he's a well mentored man. His thoughts are good. I mean, I think he said the right things.
You're looking for what?
And I think if our country would be what he's saying, then we would have a better country. But let me also correct him that the issue that we have with the sentiments or the claims made by Raila are not really because he's speaking. It's only based on the question is he speaking honestly? Because if he says that, I knew about this project, I launched it at this particular time, but now I have questions on this and that, then we would debate because we would know that the basis of his question are honest. But when it is camouflaged or covered so that it scores political points just by scaremongering that it is going to cause havoc and chaos to a lot of Kenyans, then that is dishonest. And as you've heard the other callers saying, there is nothing so new or so momentous about channeling water, through a tunnel, and especially the concept of preserving water in reservoirs. This is the whole world over. That's how it works. I mean, you save water, and then it is used in a more better way, in a way that is that's going to be taken where it's needed. I think that's the whole concept. Now, on this question of Jubilee going to government, and you remember that time when Prof started, he really amused me because he was following on the words of the member of parliament who was speaking there, and he emphasized on this question of long time. And I was tempted to ask my good friend, the professor, how long would he want to live?
Long time.
and if you ask that simple question to professor, how long he would answer long, and add even another long.
Yeah.
And so the scene is not in the length of time that either the party lives, because we have a good example. The CCM of Tanzania has been there for years and years in that particular country. And just the other day that my friend Jakoyo was full of praise for Magufuli here and the work that he's doing under that party. And so I don't think it is in entirety the question of how long the party will live that becomes the issue. But I want to say this for our viewers to understand, because I've got a good grasp of really what is happening and what has been happening. One, can we tell our viewers clearly, where has the Communist Party of China come from and where are they now? They have been a party earlier on that was completely communist, that was anti-democracy, that didn't help the country China to integrate with the rest of the world and become a competitive global partner. Okay. And so what they realize is that they must change their politics. And what they have now in the Communist Party is a blend. It's now a blend of pseudo-democratic and communist party, you know, some cocktail that they're having right now. But this is largely inspired by one fact, that they have realized that to be able to trade with the rest of the world, to be able to find space within the universe, they must also respect certain tenets in democracy, and that are embraced by other countries. And so that is where they are. Now, the question is, has Kenyans, and especially we in the legislature, in parliament, have we previously known or engaged with the Communist Party? The answer is yes. Not Jubilee. I can tell you and even give you names if I was challenged to, of several members of parliament who have been sponsored by committees in parliament to go to China. Okay. And they have undergone through these programs of training with the Communist Party, because what China has been trying to do, and the genesis of it is this: they have been trying to make themselves understood by Kenya and Kenyans as a global trader, and also embraced and welcomed. And so they want us to see this is what we look like here. Okay. And so many of members of parliament have been there. It is not going to be anything new if any other members of parliament go there, whether they're in Jubilee, whether they're in which party, they can go there, learn. And I tell you this, that the more we learn from different jurisdictions and different practices, then we become a better country.
Let's take one caller before I come to you on Midiwo. Ibrahim is online. Ibrahim, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Very good. Go ahead with your comment or question, Ibrahim.
That's a comment. Napiga kutoka Mombasa.
Yes, endelea.
Mimi wajua siku zote sisi tunajua kama ukiwa na kitu ya kutoka China tunaambianga wewe uko na kitu fake.
Okay.
Siku zote hata wewe ukiwa na simu hapo ukiambiwa ni ya Mchina, kila mtu anakuambia wewe hauna simu. Okay. Sasa hizi idea za China unajua ulimwengu wote sasa unagia na China. Sasa samaki mwetuletea mpaka China, sijui nini China, mpaka idea za kutawala pia mnatuletea China mpaka hiyo ya maisha. Hii haitawezekana boss. Hii nchi haitakuwa. Industries zimekufa sababu ya China. Hakuna kitu kinafanyika sababu ya China. Okay. Tuachane na China bwana, tupate mambo yetu tu. Mpaka industries zetu zikuwe sawa sawa na sisi tujitegemee.
All right. Asante sana.
Jakoyo Midiwo says, Wamatangi, this morning we want to pray for Jubilee to rule for a long time.
Yeah, sure.
But as we pray for Jubilee to rule for a long time, we must pay attention to the context in which Kenyan politics is played. We must be sensitive to our local peculiarities. When we say CCM has been in power for a long time and it could be in power for another long time, we must know the tribalism we have in this country is not in Tanzania. The context in which we play our politics is so sensitive because of the tribal nature of our politics that if you make a significant part of this country, almost a half, if not more, of this country, believe and accept that in this country, only one segment of this country will rule, my friend, you are planting seeds that will destroy this country. Don't ever do that.
But now,
remember we have a constitution. We have a law.
Relax. You know, you find yourself with me on the same side on this China trip, because you know you must feel good because we rarely agree. But the only thing we are trying to say is the discipline in political parties, and I think that's something to learn. I understand the sentiments of Ibrahim, that everything is trying to be Chinanized in Kenya. That I have a problem with. It's the system. Again, who does the blame go to? The Jubilee government. Why are you allowing them? Look at all the high-rises coming around Kimani area. Yeah. That has nothing to do with the discipline of trying to build Jubilee Party. I think a strong Jubilee Party is good for the country, and a strong CORD party or CORD coalition is also good for the country. And hence you hear us being able to criticize the wrong things that the government is trying to do. Okay. But my friend Senator Wamatangi and Mithika Linturi, Mheshimiwa, can't get away with this. Because yesterday it was all over that people in some parts of this country are opening Jubilee Party offices by force against the instructions of the party. When you see Honorable Duale say that they are not aware, it means there is nothing like Jubilee existing. You know, when they came from Kasarani, it was such pomp, where they were spending the Eurobond money. It was with such pomp. I saw the vehicles. I saw it would look the elections were in 24 hours. And then now they are calling for another launch to unveil the officials. It means somebody is being shortchanged. And somebody is being shortchanged, underline it. And I want William Ruto to read between those few lines. There is no will on the so-called Jubilee stalwarts to have it as a political party. It was meant to kill some parties, and I think success is there. And I can tell you, when you see one section of JP not commenting when the Star newspaper puts the list of people who are going to run Uhuru's re-election bid, you saw that list. And why was it just one side of JP? You know, satisfy our curiosity. Okay. I mean, why is there Jap within Jap?
Sometimes, Trevor, I sometimes I normally ask myself, yes. When I was listening to the debate yesterday between Clinton and Trump, and I was trying to search my memory, but I asked myself, did Trump get any training from COD here in Kenya? Because when Midiwo speaks, he speaks perfectly like Trump.
Before I let Linturi respond, let's take another caller who's online. Obiero, good morning. All right, Obiero has dropped today. Honorable Linturi, you wanted to respond.
No, I just wanted to inform Mheshimiwa and Jakoyo. Yes, it is true that people are opening Jubilee offices across the country, yes, without any direction, without any guideline from the two Jubilee leaders. That in itself is a clear manifestation that Jubilee is a mass movement. Okay. It's an indication that people have owned Jubilee. It's an indication that people are willing to market Jubilee machinani. Okay. And that's why they are saying, no, this is my responsibility. I don't need any guidance. I don't need to be told to do ABCD. So we welcome anybody else to do whatever he wants, because to do the same, because they are doing something for the party and not waiting for the party to do themselves.
Who's the chairman?
The only thing, why are you worried about who is chairman of Jubilee when you have issues in the court?
We have no issues.
Now,
I want to move this along.
Yes, let me conclude that as you've just heard, if it's about our leadership that they want, then let them wait for the few remaining days, because that they will be told. Okay. But if you want to know who are the leaders of Jubilee in Meru, then go there, you find the Meru people are saying they are on Jubilee. Those are the leaders in the grassroots.
No, that is the Kiraitu Linturi axis. The Kiraitu Linturi axis have ran away with the so-called Jubilee. No. The Monya axis is not in Jubilee.
All right, let's take Bifolo here. Bifolo, good morning. All right, gentlemen, I want to move this along to page 4 of the Daily Nation, because it's people in politics. We're talking about a myriad of so many issues. CORD is now asking the electoral agency to shelve the audit of a voters register. And CORD yesterday warned the polls agency against rushing to audit the voters register before the commissioners who have resigned leave office. Professor Manyora, this is one thing that was agreed between a joint parliamentary committee with 300 days left the next general election. Are we now at a position where this could crumble down and these delays would have an impact on the elections?
Carson from America said choices have consequences. And because you're speaking in American accent, the Jubilee people are saying, you see, he's stressing consequences. And that, no, so anything you do, naturally in life, the things we do have consequences. One of the consequences of this thing is that we find ourselves between a hard place and a rock, in a kind of catch-22 situation. On the one hand, we must meet the timelines, because we are facing an election in 8 months. And the timeline set by this Orengo Kiraitu committee, the countdown has begun. So there are certain things you have to do. On the other hand, you haven't put in place the new commissioners who you'll be comfortable with if they were the ones doing these things.
Yeah.
So what happens? The people you don't want, the people you have kicked out, are still in office, and these things must be done. It is those very same people you've jettisoned that have to do them. You see, between a hard place. So if they don't do it, you will not meet the timelines, which you set yourselves.
Okay.
And I think I've always said that some of these things were a little too ambitious. And in some ways, we were naive. Because we were blinded by one thing, and this is from the Jakoyo side. Blinded by this thing of kicking out commissioners. It made some people so blind, they didn't see a number of things, and this is just the beginning.
Okay.
So it's like, well, you made your bed,
so you must
it's time to sleep, you have to go to your bed.
Honorable
So
Linturi,
these are some of the consequences.
Is this, are these unnecessary obstacles now? Because
You
what they
must,
wanted, the
because-
commissioners left, the commissioners are willing to leave, now there's this issue.
Let me ask you, for example, Trevor.
Yeah.
They have not started the process of recruiting new commissioners. They are by-elections. Who, by law, those by-elections have to be conducted. What will happen? You postpone them because you want to wait for new commissioners. They will have to be done and conducted by these same people you have jettisoned. You see? So these are some of the consequences of a rushed process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Linturi, is this process flawed?
I think, we have to really be honest with each other. I'm sure when the select committee was agreeing on what to do, on the do's and don'ts within a particular time, within particular timelines, they must have known very well that the commission as is will be in office until another one is sworn in. Yeah. And it didn't mean that the work of the IEBC will stop when the processes will be going on. So I think other than them trying to throw spanner into the works and then creating a situation whereby we will get to where we started, where there will be, there appears to be one team trying to deceive the other. We need to create a systematic way of bringing confidence to Kenyans that we are going getting an institution that will oversee the administration of our electoral processes in a free and fair, efficient manner. So I am very disturbed when I see such coming from court, and because the commissioners are not the people to audit the voter register. Probably I thought they would have given it to a serious audit firm like whether it's Deloitte and Touch or anybody else to go and do it, so that these people, the only business there is to tell them this is our register, go and look at it and do our report, so that even as we continue the recruitment of commissioners, those commissioners that come in will find a report which they will act on from the recruiting agency. Mm. So to say stop, considering that we have only 80 months, I think it's not right. It's not right. We had better be cautious because we don't want to set this country into agreement.
Honorable Midiwo, are we running out of time on this one?
Definitely. Personally, I've said here, and I don't want to hide my feeling and my anger towards the Kiraitu Orengo committee. I think they did a shoddy job. I think they shortchanged Kenyans, because all this could have been done differently. I don't think it makes any sense if you wanted to clean up the attitudes of in the electoral process and the architecture of our electioneering. Remember, the people who actually are involved in this rigging is not the faces you know, and people know them. That we went there and left that secretariat intact in itself is, to me, I think was criminal on part of Kenya. That committee, why would they have left the secretariat there? When some secretariat members are even bragging how they added zeros in the Kericho by-election. That multiply effect. How, even by auditing this voter register, how do you clean up that? These are people who know the game of messing things up. Now you give them a law and tell them to go mess it further. I personally am very apprehensive. I do not think that the commissioners need to be in office because when you see them, when you see all these procurements going on, and I've said it 2 weeks ago, we will not accept any procurement done by this secretariat and or the outgoing commission.
Okay.
Because what they are doing, they are messing it up so that whoever comes in, even if they are an angel, they will find it very difficult, given the time limits, to correct it. I am very, very, very apprehensive. But particularly, I'm very angry that people who can read time limits and who have been there when the rigging has caused mayhem in our country, or just wrong elections have caused mayhem in our country, went there and sat on taxpayers' money and came out without clarity on when these people should exit. You cannot. They know they are going. Okay. If they do wrong now, what will you accuse them after they have left?
Senator Wamatangi, did this committee fail Kenyans?
I think to begin with, Trevor, this worries me when I see this kind of talk that I'm starting to see again from CORD, especially the CORD side, because you know I'm asking myself, could these people again now be attempting to open a new frontier? To start looking for new excuses, and then they will start again saying we want mass action, we want to go to the streets again, you know, because remember, and we have to be straightforward about this. We started with CORD saying we want commissioners out of office, period, and they did all they did, and until eventually the commissioners are out of office. When the commissioners have gone, now you saw them the other day, we want the secretariat out of office. When the commissioners have gone, that changed. There has been no much noise about the secretariat because, you know, those are, you know, small people. No. They'll be able to muscle them around probably and kick them out. But even before that dust settles, and you start here, don't even try to audit the register. And the question you may want to ask yourself is, after this question has been settled, will you hear again, don't even try to register new voters? I mean, because I tell you this, and CORD must come out very clear and clean on this. Have they been trying to build and preset a scenario whereby they have a fallback position to claim some legitimacy in the event of their loss in the elections by ensuring that no matter how much you try to clean up, because remember how this country has acceded to their demands that commissioners go home en masse, all of them. And now the commissioners have gone. There's no one left. We'll have new commissioners. And this is a serious issue. It's not a joke. Because I see, sense, and imagine, I can almost correlate what is happening, that it is in the interest of CORD at the face of imminent defeat, that they must create a scenario here that once the defeat occurs, they must have one loose end hanging, whereby they will say it was because of this. And I can almost tell you for sure, there is not going to be such a time when they will say we have sent the commissioners home, we have cleaned up IEBC, we have gone to the elections, we have lost the elections, we want to now go back and build a country together and wait for another day to fight. Okay. That is not going to be happening.
Linturi,
it is entirely a game plan which they are playing to the script.
You know, I think I can't state it better than what my friend or my colleague on Wamatangi is saying.
Yeah.
Was if COND was involved in this process throughout, Jakoyo is raising serious issues. He had an opportunity to raise them in Parliament and probably...
And I did.
Convince Parliament either to reject or even make amendments to that report. So unless they are trying to set another stage of trying to reject the elections in the event of their loss, then there can't be any other reason. And I think it's also very dishonest of them to continue putting Kenyans into a situation of blackmail throughout.
Okay.
And I think
No, but first of all, let me, for my friend here, you know, is busy campaigning to become the senator for Meru. And Munya has another candidate, so he is feeling the heat. But let me tell you, when that issue came to Parliament, I raised very many issues. I don't hide my feelings. When my instincts tells me something is amiss, I say it so that I can sleep well. We even had an amendment, not by COD, by Honorable Chepkonga, which said how these people are paid and how they leave office. People were taken to William Ruto's house, the Jubilee, and they came and they just rooked us. They refused to listen. They had been told, you are not amending. Our side bit the bait, and we are in this mess. Now, what has happened, Trevor, since then, and I am on record publicly saying we shall not accept any procurement by this secretariat and or the outgoing commissioners. They have done so much procurement since then. And what is it geared towards? Towards the next elections. You understand? Wamatangi said we wanted the commissioners to go. Yes, we wanted them to go from last year. But if they know they are going, why the procurement? These people is saying, even this argument being used to say that we have by-elections, you know, cannot be done. I proposed that the Orengo Kiraitu Committee be tasked to oversee this process so that the people who are concerned from both sides agree as we move along. We've never been here before, but we do not trust these people. And I can tell you everything they are doing. Right now, how many registers does IEBC have? There are about 4. And if you read the recommendations of the Supreme Court, they said clean up this thing. That recommendation in the Kiraitu Orengo report is based on the Supreme Court pronouncement. So that when we want to do it right, it cannot be the same people we have kicked out overseeing that doing right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Professor Manyora, I see a potential of leaving loose ends on this.
Yeah, you see, Trevor, on this bench, last year, most of last year, and perhaps early this year, I kept saying, and Wamatangi and Linturi remember, maybe Jakoyo hadn't joined us quite. I kept telling COD from this bench that you are being set up and there's a big trap. You are going to fall into that trap. Be careful with this idea of saying commissioners must go home. And I made it clear that a time will come when Jubilee will oblige you. You see? And that time, it will be too late for you to benefit from commissioners going home. They didn't listen. By the time Jubilee is apparently being pushed, nobody pushed Jubilee. The timing was right for Jubilee. Now we can accept. And look at what is going. This is just Kionjo. You're going to see stuff. You're going to see drama before elections in 2018. Now, I appeared before this committee, Trevor. I'm telling you, the hostility I received from COD members in that committee, who are my friends, we meet on this panel, Khalwale, Junet, they wanted to stop me from my presentation. Honorable Orengo, and Jimmy Angwenyi was in the co-chair, saved me, and then I was able to make my presentation. I told them, you don't have time. If you don't have time, change tact. Instead of commissioners going home, constitute a small team from either side. Find a place for it in the Constitution, I think under Article 81 or something, I can't remember. Let them work with the current IEBC without overseeing the IEBC. But then clearly identify the things you want done. And let those 2-3 clear things to ensure a free and fair election. 3 things, not more than that. And pursue them with a singleness of purpose. Okay. This committee with the current IEBC, CORD was going to gain big. Okay. But because they had focused on removing IEBC commissioner, and another mistake they made, they introduced all manner of things. A villager like me who grew up hunting with hunter dogs, I know one thing. When you go hunting, I know KWS will want to beat me. When you go hunting, Jakoyo in game there those days when there were bushes and what, you identify one antelope and you only chase that one. If others come in between, they have this tendency of going kwa musha zingine. When the one is tired, they know where others are. It passes there and stays there. Another one. So a good dog will always know the one it was chasing. Okay. I told CORD, chase one antelope, which is free and fair election. All these other beautiful things I saw people presenting there, let them form the agenda for change for future elections. Okay. But for this one, now
stick on one issue. All right.
Stick on this one issue here.
Okay.
Now the chicken has come home to roost. Okay. You ain't seen nothing yet. Americans will tell you.
We are running out of time.
Yes.
I want to give Honorable Mithika Linturi final comments really fast. What is the way forward then?
I think since we're almost getting into an election year, there is need for caution. There is need for restraint from the leaders, and the leaders really checking what they're saying, because Kenyans take their leaders very seriously, and we can easily incite people by the way we talk, by the way we conduct ourselves, and that has serious potential in causing a lot of disharmony across the country. So even as we compete politically, let us remember that we have a duty as Kenyans to make sure that Kenya remains one, to unify this country, okay. And we all have a right to live in Kenya and seek for any political office, but kindly let us not forget the antelope. The antelope is a free, united Kenya, okay. After the general election.
All right. Honorable Jakoyo, closing remarks really fast. We're running out of time.
I want to hope that the outgoing IEBC commissioners will heed the call and adhere to the wishes of Kenyans to stop the mischief, stop procurement, because we shall not accept it. For what it is worth, I think we have to, for us to avoid chaos in future, we must put our foot down. These people must just leave office and go. And I think we must move to the next level. Before we go to the next elections, we must rein in on the secretariat of IEBC. Unless we do that, we will we'll be dealing with a bunch of crooks and be crying after the milk has been spilled.
Okay. Honorable Wamatangi, closing remarks really fast.
Now, I want to caution and tell Kenyans that political leaders in this country do not know how to lose elections. I mean that our political leaders simply do not know how to lose in magnanimity, to remain humanized and humble at the face of loss. And this queue is led by CORD.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the way the pace is being set and the way the stage is being set, Kenyans must stand firm, and we say no this time, that because we have obeyed obediently what the political leaders have said, let's do this, let's remove that one, let's set the stage this way, come election time, we are not going to entertain the gymnastics we have seen in the past
All
of
right.
saying that it was stolen, it was rigged, let's go and beat that one, let's go and break this door, let's go and chase that one out of the office, let's go and kill that one.
Okay.
We are not going to accept that. So, and CORD had better be warned early enough.
Okay.
The games of
General
2007 and 8 and 2013 are not going to work this
All right.
time. We
Gentlemen,
want
No,
we-
that
we
is
want-
incitement.
we really-
we must
we really
ensure
have to live in
that
that.
if we lose,
Trevor,
if you
that
lose, you lose
cannot be on
honorably.
national
All right,
television.
hold on
If,
one
if,
second.
That
if,
cannot-
if,
Wamatangi,
if
hold
you
on one
lose,
second.
you lose
Let
honorably
Midiwo
and
respond to that,
accept.
then we
And
close
he
up.
knows,
Okay.
he
Yes.
knows the last 2 elections, they have stolen them. And he knows they killed our people after stealing in 2007. So it is not, it's not fair
I'm not going
to
to allow
go
certain
on
allegations.
national
Okay.
television
That
and
is-
talk war.
All right.
I think it is
That is
irresponsible.
precisely-
We are
Wamatangi.
not going to
That is
talk
not
about
right.
that.
That
We
is
have to-
precisely-
we have to-
that
we have to-
that is
we-
precisely what I am
No,
saying.
Okay.
no.
That
Yeah.
when you allow
Peace
that
be there.
mentality
No.
to prevail,
Yeah.
that when you lose an election, you will not be magnanimous enough to
How
say
much
we
did
have
we lose
lost.
by in
This-
2007?
You know, when that story, when that
No,
story
Wamatangi,
of
that's
they
not right.
stole,
No.
because that is the excuse all the
No,
time.
Okay.
no.
That
Let's
excuse is
end
not
with
going to
peace.
be.
We are not going to
Peace.
talk about
Stop
the
that.
wars
No,
of
no,
the
Let's
politics.
end with
We're just
peace,
going to make
Trevor.
sure this
Let's
ends
pray
And you
in
for
cannot
peaceful
peace
threaten
for
way.
this
as a national
country.
television. No
Okay.
threats. No, that you cannot get away
We
with.
pray for
You
peace.
cannot kill
speak
and
firmly
threaten.
as a Kenyan.
Peace
That
be upon
who
you.
shall
We-
refuse?
We are
Who is
going to
not a
maintain
we shall
peace.
refuse to
No.
accept that.
We make sure that
Peace
peace is
be
going to be
upon you.
maintained after that
And
political
peace